Guys, big breaking news coming out November 1st, 2025. 42 million Americans lose their food stamp benefits. Wow. All right, so we have all the updates here. Give me a second, guys. Let me just pull up this information here. Millions of low income Americans are losing access to food aid as the nation's largest anti-hunger program goes dark for the first time. For the first time, man. Congress failed to reopen the Gov before funding for the SNAP ran out Saturday. A federal judge, not only one, but there's two judges, in an 11th hour decision directed the Trump administration to use emergency funds to pay for food aid in November. But even that wasn't enough to prevent the immediate lapse of benefits, which officials say could take weeks to resume. So it's not only one judge, there's another judge today. Give me a second here. Let me just pull up this information here. Newsweek is putting out this news. So two federal judges now ruled on Friday that President Donald Trump administration must continue to pay for the SNAP using emergency reserve funds. Let me tell you guys something really quick. Okay, emergency reserve funds were not meant to feed 42 millions. This was meant for catastrophic events. For example, let's say hurricane. Let's say Florida gets hit with a category 5. All right, those emergency funds would go to catastrophic events like that. Or let's say California gets another wildfire. And you guys know wildfires spread really quick in California. All right, these emergency reserve funds goes to that. Or let's say Texas hits with another flood, just like the Guadalupe River. All right, again, catastrophic event. These emergency funds right here were not meant for human error, meaning Chuck Schumer, the Democrats, and the Republicans, they need to come together and figure something out. Enough is enough. Get it done. All right, guys, before I start, for those of you that want to send us letters or prayer requests, you can send it to me, US Santiago, or my wife, Jessica Santiago, at 3432 US Highway 19, number 2, Holiday, Florida, 34691. All right, we're going to go with this one here. Newsweek is putting out some good stuff. All right, so here's the thing, guys, is that you guys know what happened to North Carolina last year. That hurricane, that was a big hurricane. I think it was Hurricane Helene. It hit North Carolina. I mean, villages, towns were wiped out. It was completely catastrophic. FEMA went in there, and guess what? There was no money. There was no money. There was no emergency funds. Everybody's scratching their head. Where's the money? People need help. We need to bring in, all these electrician workers so North Carolina citizens could get the light turned on. And North Carolina suffered for weeks, actually months. The money? Well, the emergency funds were taken and were given to illegals for hotels and a place for them to stay and to feed them. You cannot take emergency funds for that type of stuff. You can't do that. It says here, however, it remains unclear exactly when SNAP recipients may receive benefits after the administration announced that it would freeze payments starting November 1st. Now, the reason why, again, nobody's getting the fund is because you have Senator Chuck Schumer shut down the Gov for the 13th time. Everybody's pointing finger at Trump, but nobody's talking about Chuck Schumer shutting down the Gov for the 13th time. Newsweek has, okay, we're going to skip that. So SNAP, also known as Food Stamp Program, is a major piece of the nation's social safety net. We already know that. It helps almost 42 million low and no income people across the U.S. buy groceries. Most are in households with young ones, older adults, or people with disabilities. And many are working families, according to the Center of Budget and Policy Priorities. Some SNAP users told the news that about their fears and uncertainty about how they will be able to afford food if they don't receive their November benefits. while food banks were bracing for a spike in demand. So what happens now? Well, I'm not trying to start anything and stuff like that, but family needs to help families. In Jesus' time, there was no welfare EBT stuff. Family help family come together. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be. Neighbors help neighbors. It's time to help each other. And that's the way America was way in the beginning. There was no such thing as none of these programs here. So why were SNAP payments paused? Well, the USDA said it planned to freeze payments to SNAP programs starting November 1st because it said it can no longer keep funding it due to the shutdown. It makes sense. Chuck Schumer shut it down, so it makes perfect sense. Which is now in its second month. SNAP costs about $8 billion per month. $8 billion per month. $8 billion would it be a month? $8 billion a month. That's crazy. Give me a second here, guys. Okay, bottom line, the well has run dry. The USDA said on its website. At this time, there will be no benefits issued November 1st. So this is not Donald Trump stopping the payments. Please pay attention. Guys, again, do your research. Do your research. Don't just turn on CNN or Fox or MSNBC or whatever. Do your research, okay? Do your research. It's very important. So USDA is the one that has freezed everything because of the gov shutdown. They had no other choice. They had no other choice. It's like your boss calls you, hey, there's no work today. And then you show up and the boss tell you, hey, there's no one here. Well, I don't care. I need my money. You got to pay me. Use your emergency fund. The boss is going to be like, no, I can't. There's no work. There's nothing. All right, so it says here the Democrat state attorney general and governor from 25 states and the District of Columbia challenged the plan to pause the program, arguing that there is money available to fund the program and that Trump administration has a legal obligation to keep it running in the jurisdictions. The administration said it wasn't allowed to use a contingency fund of about $5 billion for the program, which reserved a USDA plan from before the shutdown. That said, money will be tapped to keep SNAP running. The Democrat official said not only could that money be used, but that it must be. They also said a separate fund with around $23 billion is available for the cause. But those are emergency funds. Do you guys keep your rent money separate from the money that you use like to go out and eat? You keep this is the rent money. $750 goes to the saving. And I got to pay in 2 weeks. Let's say you broke, right? And then you have a car issue, right? You cannot use that $750. That's your rent money. But apparently, you got loved ones. Use that money, and this and that. No, it's my rent money. But again, it goes to tell you that the Democrats, when they were in power, no wonder why North Carolina didn't receive no money, because they just take everything, emergency fund, and give it to the illegals. Judges ordered Trump administration to pay SNAP. On Friday, U.S. District Judge John in Providence, Rhode Island, ordered the Gov to fund SNAP using at least the contingency funds. SNAP benefits have never until now been terminated, the judge said at a hearing on Friday. And the U.S. has in fact admitted that the contingency funds are appropriately used during a shutdown and that occurred in 2019. The judge who was appointed by former Barack, he's another judge that was appointed by Barack, rejected the administration claim that the contingency funds could only be used for natural disaster. In Boston, U.S. District Judge, another Barack appointee, you see it's all Barack judges coming after Donald, also ruled that the USDA has to pay for SNAP, calling the suspension unlawful. Instead of going after Trump, maybe you guys should go after Schumer because he shut down the Gov. That's the thing about politics. It's it's just messed up game. It's so, how you use the word without getting hit. It's corrupt. All right, she ordered that the federal gov to advise the court by Monday as to whether they will use the emergency reserve funds to provide reduced SNAP benefits for November or fully fund the program using both contingency funds and additional available funds. So, are we getting SNAP payments? Despite the rulings, the benefit for millions of people will be delayed in November because the process of loading SNAP cards can take a week or more in many states. Even if the contingency funds are tapped, it will not be enough to fully cover the cost of the program. The contingency funds are estimated to be between $5 and $6 billion, while a month's SNAP benefits cost around $8 billion. In court papers, attorney for the Gov said it costs between $8.5 billion to $9 billion each month to fund SNAP at its regular level. $8 billion a month. That's basically almost $100 billion a year to feed 42 million sleeping giant citizens. $100 billion a year. Good gosh. Wow. All right, so it says here the Gov attorney also wrote that using the contingency fund for partial payments could cause problems, warning of catastrophe likely to result from each state reprogramming its system repeatedly for prorated payments and full payments. They also said that the reprogramming state system for partial payments would take weeks if it can be done at all. President Donald Trump wrote in a post on his Truth Social site on Friday, "I do not want Americans to go hungry just because the left refused to do the right thing and reopen the Gov. Therefore, I have instructed our lawyers to ask the court to clarify how we can legally fund SNAP as soon as possible. It is already delayed enough due to the left keeping the Gov closed through the monthly payments data, and even if we get immediate guidance, it will unfortunately be delayed while states get the money out. If we are given the appropriate legal direction by the court, it will be my honor to provide the funding just like I did with military and law enforcement payments." Senator Ames, a Minnesota Democrat, said, "Good news, a judge ruled that the administration is required by law to use emergency funding to provide food assistance to families in need. Trump has no excuse to withhold the food assistance. If the administration does not use SNAP, it is purely a cruel political decision, not a legal one." Yeah, so meanwhile, your buddy Chuck Schumer shut down the Gov and you refuse to call out his name. Again, like I say, guys, it's just a messed up political world that is going on here. All right, so I'm going to leave the rest in the description box, but this is where we at right now. So Trump is getting lawyers and stuff like that and try to see if we could work this thing out without getting the Democrats involved. It's time to open the Gov, and they're going to try to work something out. The lawyers are getting involved. Chuck Schumer continued to shut down the Gov. Barack judges are saying that Trump needs to release the emergency fund, but the emergency fund were meant for catastrophic events. Guys, we could still get hit with a hurricane, or California could get hit with a big one, or Yellowstone could blow up. I mean, we could see something bad hitting our country. We need those emergency fund just in case thousands injured or anything. I mean, there was a flood in New York. I mean, we're still dealing with all this weather stuff. We need to have fun just in case something big hits the fan. But according to the left, use the funds. Yeah? And when something bad happens, are you going to help out? Are you going to open up your wallets? You don't have enough money for it. There's a reason why we have backup money, again, to protect and to help states that gets hit with Mother Nature stuff, world catastrophic events. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. Till next time later. Peace.